And Maryna, the stage is yours. Good luck.
Thanks, Igor. Hey, everyone. Really glad to see you here. It's really tremendous moment. I wasn't aware I'm going to start this stream, so. Can I have my presentation actually here? That would be helpful, really. So, yes, I'm a product manager. And for the last 2 years, I spent them somehow like that. So that's like how my 2 years were spent. So that was building integration for Microsoft Teams. And actually, this is the only one swim lane. And it doesn't reflect everything we built, but this is swim lane dedicated to Atlassian. And how many of you use Atlassian products here? Okay, that's just most of you, I guess. So like this swim lane, it's my short biography, in fact. So somewhere here, like a few months ago, I met Microsoft Teams for the first time. And then we decided to build Jira Cloud integration, Bitbucket, Confluence Cloud. And then was really exciting moment when we first built on-premise integration with Microsoft Teams, which was really challenging. And recently, we made it even better. So we brought a lot of features there. So that was like one part of this, and another 15 integration were built on the background. So who uses Microsoft Teams? Okay, that's great. So for those who don't, it's just one more communication platform. And it's not just communication platform, so it's positioned as a hub for the teamwork. So it's not just for communication. It's expected that your work going to happen there. And it's a recently young product, so it was launched like 2 years ago, but it already have really amazing amount of users and organizations. So there's like 13 millions of daily active users. For 2 years product, it's really something incredible. And Jira is an old product. It's like 17 years on the market, so it was like, they don't disclose how many organizations actually use it on a daily basis, but like 150 teams, and among these teams, it's NASA, a lot of like Audi and other customers. So what they share in common while we're building this, it's probably user base. First of all, they target enterprises. Enterprises as the most interesting segment for them. They also have governments, non-profit organizations, like you have a lot of universities, well known, and small and medium businesses, but let's focus on enterprises as well. So our team, like 2 years ago, have a goal, let's build integration. And our key metric here is we want to build it for as much users as you can actually reach by that. And if the first statement is relatively simple, the next one makes it really complicated. You need to understand, you have a very recently launched product, you don't understand how to use it, so you need to start something. So that was like setting this scene for us. We need to understand how to use product. What is Microsoft Teams impact? And to be it would be fair to admit, it differs a lot. I don't know what you have used before the Microsoft Teams. It differs a lot. It has totally different workflows, and we never saw this before. So it was like, okay, we need a special tenant, and like 5 people in our team were starting using Microsoft Teams on a daily basis just to understand how it works. The next problem is Jira, which we used on a daily basis, but that was really focused use. I was like creating requirements, managing backlog in Jira. Guys were like submitting their statuses. It is done, it's in progress or something, but it's only like very specific way of thinking. We need to understand better how it could be, what could be built on top, how it's integrated in other products. So this was part of research. And one more, which is the last item here, but probably the most essential is API. So that's where we spend probably the most of our time. So I still need to admit that I know right now Jira Cloud API better probably than some people in Atlassian. And I just can provide anyone with endpoints that what you can do or you cannot. And generally when building integration, probably the one of most essential parts. It provides you, first of all, with a variety of capabilities, what you actually can do. And the most important, it provides you with limitations, what you cannot do. It's your boundaries and where you're going to play. So we had this context, we understood where we play, what is our battlefield, in fact. But the next question, for whom we're going to build this? What are our user base? So users of integration, it sounds really simple. So you have one product, it's Microsoft Teams. You have a different one in Jira, so you have this user bases. And when they overlaps, that's your target market. So this one is like, sounds amazingly simple. But then we just getting back to, we are operating in enterprise. So enterprise, it's a bit like more complicated. And now we are trying to focus direct roles here. And first of all, the best and probably most common way of thinking about enterprise users is like you have two major segments. One is end user. That's the person who actually wants your app. They would be the one like, oh, we need it like right now because we have something to be done. And to do that, they really hope you're going to help them. They want to make it better. And when we're thinking about the Microsoft Teams, so it's deployed to your organization, and generally everyone is using this. So the best way to think about who exactly you're going to target is to think about the Jira users. So Jira have several roles who in organization going to like actually use it. And if this part is for us was familiar, so generally it's a project manager, product owner, business analyst, QA, developer. So this development team, we everybody know, and that's our first thing about that. Appears that it's not all people who are going to use it. Jira is really complex and very customizable tool. So there are help desk agents. Support is using Jira Service Desk on common basis. And that's for him or for her, it's like something that automates their workflow. And there was another surprise. It's widely used for business. So marketers team. Big that end users, but still very valuable for us since it's a decision maker, or the more common way of thinking, it's a buyer. So somebody who will actually make decision, does organization will use your app or not? And they make evaluation, they're gonna make this approval, pay the check if you like pass all the steps here. And one specifically talking about the Jira, it could be actually budget owner who pays the check. But in enterprises mostly, you will face the IT department here on this specific moment. And okay, we're going to talk about them later. But they're really worth to talk about them a lot, actually. But first, let me start with the end users. So we come up with the personas. That's like, I'm a product manager. Persona is my first tool to start with. So we have developer, we have product manager, marketer, and actually few more personas to be described. They just didn't fit into screen. What was the problem here? They were different. They have different use cases, how they use Jira. For example, David, who's a software development, he is very tech savvy, but does he love Jira? Not really. For him, it's like overhead. He needs to switch to Jira to make something there. It's like totally different workflow. For Anna, who is marketer, it was like, okay, I'm not tech savvy. It's like also overhead. I have a different workload than David. And the same for Joseph, who's like guru of Jira. He uses it on a daily basis since he's managing backlog, making roadmaps. So that's a different case. The insight here was like, okay, we have personas, that's nice, that's really cool, but that's not enough to go forward with it. So I moved at this point, I was really a fan of jobs to be done. I hope you heard about this framework. So it's actually the way of thinking about the context where you exactly using a product as a user. And this context was what was common for all these people. They work in a team. Team means that they really collaborate towards some common goal and they want to achieve some common results. It means that here is the part which take part as actually in Jira. And as any collaboration process, it's also about communication. Your team, you should be aligned about what you plan to do, what's your next steps, what blockers do you have, what is your result, what you achieved recently. And right now, like, think about the distributed team you have. Even sitting in the office, it doesn't mean that if I want to talk to someone, I'll stand up and go somewhere and tell them, okay, how is going? Well, actually I do, but many people don't. They just chat, a lot chat. So chat became a place where actually work is done. So you're making decisions there, you sharing opinions, you share opinions about ideas about the problems you're gonna save. So you take actions. So that was our context, and it was closer to what we actually want to achieve. It helps us make next decision here. And it means that we need to decide exactly what we're going to bring to make these people empowered to make these actions and decisions. And here was one more challenge. Extensibility of teams. I don't know, have you ever, how many apps you use, but generally it provides you with variety of tools. You generally can bring everything. And that's a common strategy. So for many products, for example, probably the best example would be Trello. So right now in Teams, you can do everything you do in Trello in any browser. It's totally whole features set available for you. And that was a question for us, can we bring all of this to Teams? And that was a really tough question. It's a big temptation to do like that. So just, okay, you can do everything you did in browser before. In Teams, that's cool. But it's not, because it's going to be hurtful for user. It's a really complicated tool. Jira was built over years, and they share a lot of workflows, a lot of complexity, even in UI. Even when starting with Jira, I still sometimes need some, to settle down what I need to do here. So we decided doesn't take this strategy and approach, so we decided to focus on more specific moment. Our approach was to extend conversations. So select something where you can match this point where you need to talk to your colleague and you need to take action. So one of the most common case that works for everyone is when you plan your work or you review the results of your work. So what it comes up for us, it's ability for user, I can check what I should do. I can check what my colleagues, what I have reported, and the progress of this. As well, I can create a tab for all my team. I can select what exactly they should do and what we plan to do, and we can track this simultaneously. We don't need to switch right now to Jira anymore. We can conduct a meeting. We can align even without living conversation. Another way is to share updates. That's essential. All the time something happens and you want to keep everyone on the same page. So guys, I can just created an issue, so check this out. I'll provide you the details. Another way is you can automate it. So if something happens in Jira, I already know it in chat because I use it in connector. So I added a comment, everyone is aware of this. That's also cool. And there is another way. I can actually take action. I don't need anymore to leave Jira because I had just great conversation with my team and I come up with new requirements. I want to state it somewhere. Should I switch to another tool, to the browser, or go somewhere? And just okay, what I need to fill in? Not anymore. I can just simply use a message and create an action. The message is here, everything in space. And the next is how you can actually demonstrate the value. And probably the best approach we had here is to think about this a simple use case. I'd like to share a link. So I have a conversation, for example, with my QC lead. It's I just found a bug. I'm the person who found the bug a lot. And it's I've submitted it somewhere. So I want to share it with you. Could you check? Maybe you can reproduce or not. That's quite common. So it happens here. And then I need to switch to browser. And that's probably the toughest part. I don't know how you use your browser. Usually I have a bunch of tabs open. So it could be anything. I can check it. I can land on Confluence page and just see, okay, I haven't finished do something here. Or that could be envision, new designs, new comments. So I want to also react on that. So this is a bunch of distractions that actually can prevent me of doing anything I ever planned. So even my promise to my QC lead that I'm going to share with you a link will not keep me to spend here some time. But occasionally, let's think about me as a dedicated person. So I finally land to Jira. And then I spend some time to locating my issue. It's somewhere there. So then I'm trying to find it. I need to copy a link. And now I'm getting back to Teams. And probably I'm not encountering my Outlook at this point, since I'm going to be lost forever for everyone. And maybe someday I meet Sasha and he will, for example, remind me, Maryna, you promised me to share the link. You created a bug. And with the link, the next problem will be on the Sasha side. He will go to Jira back, and probably he will not get lost on his way. How we solved it? Now it looks for me something like this. So I have messaging extension. We still have conversation. I found my bug. Oh, here I found my bug. I'm adding a message. And what happened, I don't know. So generally, like, I'm sending it to chat. Thing is, like, having all this 10 operation at least, which would take me, in the best case, probably 1 minute. I'm super quick. Or it will happen never. It would be compared to probably 10, 15 seconds. Sometimes it could be less, since we are showing the recent issues created, so it could be just immediate action. Here we go. I haven't got lost with my Outlook, with my browser, with anything I'm curious about. So this is the way of thinking. And generally, there is a lot of calculation, how much time you can save for users. And that's the benefit you're going to communicate in the very end. So approximately, let's think about 30 minutes you can lose every day just on switching and getting distracted by something. And then this 30 minutes can be in, like, very end, monthly for one person, it's going to be like 10 hours of your work. And it's not something you really spend productively. So that's something you want to communicate to users in the very end as a value you provide with your app. And this is for end users. And next, this value is communicated not just for end users. It's a value the business gets from you. It's in a major scale. Think about organizations that like starts from 2,000 people. It's calculated in millions. I guess recently there was a research by Microsoft, so how user can save their money. So that's like amazing numbers. But there is one more type of user. Before you got there, before anyone gonna use it, there is Laura, and we are getting back to personas. Laura is the head of IT department. And that's a person, she's really risk-averse. She don't want to experiment. She's not adventurous. She wants really to do a lot, and she cares about security is the main problem for her. Another thing she's really care about, it's satisfaction of internal users. And I don't know how it happens for your organization. Usually IT department is very overloaded. It's people who don't want to create any problem for themselves, they want to keep it smooth. So right now, by statistic, our support team is getting probably 95% of emails. Any request from user, it goes from IT department. So probably, I would think about that. If you ever approach any enterprise, you should think about this main persona, since that's a gatekeeper for you. Whatever you do, it could have great UI, it could be super nice, but unless you can provide just clear statements that your app is secure, that hosting, data processing, and compliance with all the standards they have is in place, you never get there. That's something that could be thought about. You can market it a lot, so probably end user will get requests to this department, oh, we need this. No, This all doesn't matter anything unless you really can provide clear statement. The thing is, it's like pretty obvious. It's just like data, standards, GDPR. I agree that it's like something which everyone has in place. Like there is one more thing which is not that obvious. It's first they evaluate. So it's going to be your app. They're going to be the first users. And the problem is for IT departments, so probably they might not have this, like, the context of using an app, essentially. They just check how it works. And if they see that the app you're trying to provide is very complicated in a setup, it will probably require their involvement, since they will going to have all the tickets related. It's not working like I expected. Something is not working here. It's not going to be your problem. It's going to be a first problem for them. So that also might affect their decision. So the main outcome here is probably that you should think about the moment that onboarding for such people with a low context on your app should be really smooth. So keep it simple, keep it really obvious what they should do, because they may not even ever use Jira on the daily basis, as it was like for product manager or whoever else in end user segment. And just like one more thing to mention here is your support quality. So that's they're going to evaluate in the very beginning. So how you're going to react for their inquiries, how flexible you are, how personalized. And generally for us, it was like we have in a user base a lot of really famous enterprises, and they really expect us to be personal about it. It's not just approach like, okay, read the documentation. It doesn't work like this, so you should show some love here. And that's like about the users, but all these segments, they share one common thing, which is a really challenge for probably the teams and probably for any integration you're going to build. The thing is about their habits. So for teams, it's especially valid one. So people have some kind of perception or habits, or in other words, it's mental models. It's what they believe they know about the user interface. So that's what determines the next steps they're going to take. So if they believe it should be so, or they used to do it in that way, they used to chat, for example, in a Slack, in a Skype, in a HipChat, so that's the expectation they have about your integration as well. And another thing is you should think about that a lot of users, they don't recognize actually the boundaries where the platform of integration stays and where your app begins. So a lot of inquiries may lead you to the problem that, okay, it's not us, but we still need to explain how it works, because they don't understand. It's just one holistic view on the app they have. Another problem is usually vocabulary. So vocabulary is about, like, for example, I will show it next, how you understand the capabilities and what your app do and how users perceive it. So they think in totally different way than you used to think previously. And what they can do also, they expect that everything you do should be the same as they, for example, do in Jira. But you are aware that you cannot do the same way. You're limited by APIs. It's not provided like this. You cannot bring everything. And sometimes it creates a problem for you just when you communicate this. What are the way to overcome this thing? It's first, probably, it's very simple. You need to confirm. So you just like, okay, I admit it was the wrong way. We need to redo everything. We don't innovate. We just follow the trend. Users are used to such way of doing things. They want to get notification or they understand it in some way. Okay, we don't innovate. If you still want to bring something new, and for teams it's really the case, since you have a lot of way to integrate your product that was like not common for any platform before, you should think about the way how to keep it simple. So introducing new concepts means that you will need to like let users get used to them. You need to educate them, and generally you should wait unless they get experience with an app, they understand how it works, in fact. And onboarding probably at this case would be your best investment ever. So otherwise, it's like all innovation goes to the situation like this. So we had this. We are Jira users. What we want in Teams? Connector. That's all we need, generally. So let me sum up here. That's like any success of the app for any marketplace, either it's going to be Microsoft Teams Store or it's going to be any other marketplace like Jira, Atlassian, whatever. If you're unique, it's probably the most successful factor for you. Another sum up, it's just always think about these two types of users. Yes, you're going to do the feature set for your end users. They're going to be the main users. But unless you keep in mind that you also have IT department who are going to evaluate and make this approval so your app get there, otherwise you no luck. So another way, if you working with not a simple use case, you're not bringing just one feature. You're trying to make something more complex. Don't try to bring it all. Just think about the moments where you can enrich communication. Still, first of all, you're helping user be more efficient while they chat, when they just have conversation with someone else. So think about these moments, how you can bring and extend actually previous features of initial app. Another way is just not to think about the user as one single personality. Think about the business and the team. So your benefits will be valuable for the organization as a whole part, not just for one person. He's not or she is not making decision. You should think about how it contributes to business goals they have. And probably one more, but not the least, make it smooth. Make it smooth and obvious and keep it really simple for everyone who's going to use it. People don't like to read, people don't like to learn a lot, and they need to do this. Try to make it as simple as possible, and probably that's going to be your luck. And I really hope if you want to build any integration ever, so I'm ready to help and consult you. And probably that's it, what I wanted to share with you today. It's going to be a lot of talks on the background, what happens on the back end of all this stuff. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Maryna. And we have 10 minutes for questions. English, Ukrainian, Russian. Feel free, just raise your hand, and we'll be the place. No, I can see, maybe. Some questions? No?
No, I guess no.
Yeah? No questions? Oh, yeah, there is a question. Yeah, please, go.
What do you think about Azure DevOps?
About Azure DevOps?
Yes. It has functionality as Jira, it has Git, it has everything.
Actually, we've been using Azure DevOps for a while. Personally, for me, I'm more familiar to Jira, to be honest. It's again, about the mental models. So first time when I started using and managing backlog in Azure DevOps, I was shocked. For me, it was totally not flexible. I was like, oh, come on, how I can create a dashboard or something like this. In the very end, it's all question of time. It's a good point to think about it in terms of how you use and what you used to do. So generally, it's a great tool. It's highly customizable. But for example, for me, if I ever can choose, I would choose something very efficient. For example, for me, it's requires some additional learning and time to just get experience about that.
And also there is, quick question, what do you like more, Lamborghini or Ferrari, right? Yeah, we have one more question.
May I start with answer to the Jira and Azure DevOps question, yeah? So I used TFS, Azure DevOps then, Microsoft Teams means Microsoft product, Azure DevOps as well, Microsoft product, so there are lots of integrations. I can't tell you certain integrations between DevOps, Azure DevOps and Microsoft Teams anyway. There are lots of them, and one plus to Azure DevOps is it's becoming more similar to Jira now. So if we compare with TFS, for example, regarding interface, etc. So, but my question is, there is one disadvantage if we compare Microsoft Teams and Slack, is that I still can't create any closed or private channels there. So do you know something as early adopter maybe about upcoming releases of Microsoft Teams?
Generally, actually, there is a great resource. It's the named user voice. So for Microsoft Teams, you can submit your feature request or and the question you're asking about these private channels, it's on the top of this. So everyone looking forward. We need private channels. It's something we're really looking for. Yes, it's right now it's stated as a backlog in progress. So hopefully, yes. That's actually one interesting point about, again, other habits of using. For Microsoft Teams, essentially, it's an idea of clarity and transparency of what we do. So that was the idea behind. But market shows that users are so used to have these private spaces within a team where they can discuss something separately that right now it goes on a backlog, and we're going to expect it someday soon, probably. I don't know the exact days, but yes, it's on a backlog, definitely.
Okay, maybe some more questions. Also, we have a bot, Telegram bot. You can add on your mobile app or web browser, and also you can post your questions. And now we can check, do we have some questions? I don't see. Looks like maybe questions? More questions? No?
Okay, I guess.
Yes, thank you so much again, Maryna.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
And see you in 25 minutes. We have